Portions of this show are recorded. Strap in and be prepared.
Curious what the narrative's going to be now about the Oregon football team.
Did they get another unranked win?
Another unranked win. You know, you just can't get out of your own way, folks.
Interesting guests.
Kelly Graves, Mike Parker, Josh Pate, Melissa Lombardi, Yogi Roth, who said that Justin and I are smart.
Sharp opinions.
What's amazing to me is we're talking about a 10-1 team that's 7-1 in the Big Ten, like they're underdogs.
I know.
It's like, wow, how did that happen?
And some smiles.
No, I really put some effort in there.
And there was no try, there was just do, and you did. So no, I was
Yoda.
because
It's Danny Havel.
I mean, it's wave after
Yeah.
wave after wave after wave of talent. That's good coaching. That is that whole culture, next man up attitude.
Justin Grossweiner.
I can't believe I'm saying this. Thank God for the Beavers. They saved the weekend for me.
Danny and Justin starts now on Fox Sports Eugene and Newport.
Hello, neighbors, and welcome high atop the Delta Triad, the Crystal Palace, the Fox Sports Eugene and Newport studios, the Bigfoot Beverages studios here for a Monday. Oh my goodness gracious, oh my. Lions and Tigers and Bears and the college football playoff. We've got it all for you today here on a Monday. I'm Danny. Right over there is Goose. Right over there is Baby J, who did a wonderful job on the new Open for the Danny and Justin radio program we call the fastest 60 minutes in sports. Thanks for tuning in wherever you are, however you are listening. Follow us, Danny and Justin, on Blue Sky, also on the Twitterverse. Also, podcast us, Danny and Justin. Like, subscribe. I am Danny Havel. Right over there is my tag team partner, Justin Grossmeyer. Call him Baby J. What up, boy?
Well, first of all, thank you. Second of all, it was a great weekend. I had a not so great weekend in terms of big bets, but in terms of what I was rooting for, it was fantastic. There was a lot of college football chaos. There was a lot to talk about in terms of the overall bracket and the rankings and the teams they decided to put in, and teams decided to put out. But I think it kind of went how I expected. But overall, it was a super fun weekend. Got to see the Packers remain dominant in the NFC North over our division rival Bears.
Okay. Needed an interception in the end zone.
I saw the stat where I think 49 or 57 and 17 in my lifetime.
No, so for
It's crazy.
your lifetime.
But that's
I
my
go
lifetime.
all the way back to Scott Archer as my quarterback.
Lynn Dickey.
I love Lynn Dickey, actually. Number 12.
That might be a new
Number
number right
12
there.
in your program, number 1 in your hearts.
Like Brett Favre basically was
who
my
could not move. Lynn Dickey had cement in his shoes. He could not move forever. Okay, so by the way, the other voice you just heard is we've got Goose in the studio. Look, we've got Goose in the studio.
It's great.
We got Steve Mims from Titan.
Couldn't get a guest, huh? So I had to call me in.
No, I thought there was enough for today for the three of us to banty it about. Because I love our Fridays.
Yes.
I just got to say, our Fridays are fun, especially when we do big bets. Sorry about that, Justin. Especially when we do big bets and we have our banter back and forth. So I thought, you know what? With the college football playoff advent, with all of the consternation, with all the chest beating, with all the hair pulling, with all of the controversy, which happened with the college football playoff this weekend, which Oregon was, they rose up, but they were the cream on top of it. They were not going to have to worry about it. It was going to be a 5 or a 6, or actually either a 5 or a 4. Let's be real about it. They weren't going to be a 6.
I think they could have been a 3. I think it was out there.
So now that Oregon knows that they're going to play a home playoff game against James Madison, sorry. I mean, they're already a 3-score favorite, and come on now.
Well, we had this debate on Friday, right, about what you wanted.
You and Baby J have chalked it up, and you guys have moved on to New Year's Day already, huh?
I got exactly everything I wanted.
Well, but we're going to talk about that side of the bracket, and we're going to talk about who was left out. We're going to talk about the defections for bowls. And unfortunately, we're going to talk about a bad trip for the Oregon men and women's basketball team down to L.A. this weekend. It was not great. Dana Altman under some pressure. You know, Kelly Graves found some things out about his team. his non-conference schedule, and now you went down there to a very good basketball team, the team that was, in the national championship game last year, right? Right? So, all right. So we're gonna talk about all those things, and also we're gonna review big bets. What?
I didn't know why we were doing that. I might not have come in if I knew we were doing that.
So it wasn't horrible, but however, listener Chris from Junction City, you're the big winner this week. You went 4-1. Good for you.
Good for him.
Picked Indiana, Georgia, Tulane. We were all on North Texas except for you. You were on Tulane, okay? And let's see, who else did he have? Well, yeah, and he had Boise State.
I still want to have a beer with Chris at the Viking Inn someday out in Junction City.
I think we're going to be able to make that happen. But, okay, so I got to tell you, before we get into the rest of it, and by the way, we're going to open up the phones for the show today. We don't do this very often because we only have 60 minutes. But we're going to open up the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline because we want to hear from anyone who wants to talk about the college football playoff, where Oregon lands, how you think their path's going to be. If you want to talk about Jamarcus Shepard up at Oregon State and how, he's like on a big media tour right now and recruiting. He is going to have to coach, not have to, but he's going to coach with Alabama, doing a Dan Lanning thing as they go through the college football playoff because they're number 9 seed. I know Alabama's a hot button issue, especially with my Alaskan-grown buddy over here to my left, Justin Grossweiner. We're going to have all of that coming up here in the next hour. So the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline open for you. If you want to hop on anytime as we are through our next 52 minutes of the program, you can call in at 541-343. Say it together, kids. 5673. Nobody said it together with me.
So today's guest is our listeners. That's the guest.
Exactly.
Basically.
Good.
So
I'm excited for that.
On big bets, I am now 37-33. I have a 2-game lead over you, Goose. You, Baby J, are 33-37.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're now 4 games behind. Coquel is 32-38. So I'm feeling.
Is this the last week?
No, I think we need 2 more weeks. Okay. It's gonna be tougher because we're gonna have to sprinkle in some NFL stuff. We have to because
college basketball. You can throw in anything if you want.
What are you asking or are you telling?
Throwing it out there.
It was a suggestion.
It's your show. It's your show.
All right. So
your guys' names are on the marquee.
All right. So before I got here today, I was heading to the post office because I have to go pick up my mail because somebody broke into our mailbox a few months ago, and now it's all jacked up. And so, and not mine, it was like everybody in the community. But my point is this, is I walk in, and there's 2 guys behind me, and I told them I was going to make them famous. So I got to come through with what I said. They're shipping 4 tires to New York City, and they brought them down to the post office. And I said, are these specialty tires? No. Are they racing tires? No. You're shipping 4 tires through the Postal Service back to New York from Eugene. And
I'm raising my hand.
Raising your hand because yeah.
How old were these gentlemen?
They were younger than you.
That's what I would have thought. That's my thought.
Why? No, that's the way I know. You got to tell me why. Then
screamed inexperience to me. Because anybody that knows that shipped anything knows you don't ship things for the post office first go.
They wrapped them very well, had no labels on them. And I was just like, well, it seemed kind of, when you're sitting in the post office, do you expect somebody to walk up to you with 4 tires?
I wouldn't, but I haven't been in a post office since like the 90s either, though. I don't have a P.O. box. I don't
have a P.O. box either. I'm being forced to go down to pick up my mail.
I thought they were shuttering post offices. I'm surprised they're even still around. But no, I haven't been in the line at a post office lately.
So this brings up the question.
UPS store, yes, but not a post office.
What is the most odd thing you've ever shipped through
my grandmother's car keys?
Through the Postal Service?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I accidentally brought them back when I visited her in Chicago, and so I needed to send them. There was no other way to do it. Had to do it.
All right. What about you, Goose?
I can't think of. This is going off. I've never sent anything other than like a letter. What else do you send? I mean, you just
Grandmother's
go
keys.
down and
You
send
are so
mail.
bland. You are so vanilla.
I don't go to post offices every day, and when I do, I send mail. I don't know.
All right.
Well, that's what you should be sending instead of tires.
Well, I mean, so again, I told him I would make him famous. There you go.
Fantastic.
I didn't even get their
Were they-
names.
Maybe they'll
least
call.
wrapped
Hey, if you're
in, like-
listening, call in today. Man Clinic
Defend
Hotline.
yourself.
Let's get the story behind the tires.
Were they Christmas present wrapped, or were they like what kind of wrapping are we
they were
talking?
wrapped in like a green cellophane.
Okay.
And I didn't
protect
ask.
the
I was
tires?
just like, I don't know. I said, can you bake these down and make it into cocaine or something like that?
Goodness.
Which would have been the best thing ever. 541-343-5673. We want to get your input. Oregon fans, are you happy with the 5 seed? Are you happy with James Madison? Are you happy with the side of the bracket you're on? Oregon men's basketball, Oregon women's basketball is out there. I think what's very interesting is the teams that got left out and are now opted out of playing in bowl games. And we went to the top view. There were literally 7 teams that were bowl eligible at 5 and 7. They were, and I'm going to list them off for you: Florida State, Auburn, UCF, Baylor, Kansas, Rutgers, Temple. And they all said, we're out. We're not going to play in a bowl game. So this is a larger question. Let's set the CFP aside for just 1 second, because I'd love to hear your opinion and your opinion. I put it first at Goose and then over at Baby J. Is what I've been calling for is, can we finally just get rid of the bowl games and just concentrate on a playoff format? And I would, just going to throw it out here, I know it's not going to be popular, is let's go to what we do at every other division and level, including, I think, the FCS, is they have like a 24-team format. Why can't we go? The top level in football is the only level that doesn't have an expanded playoff that includes more than, now we got to 12 teams. Why can't we go to that? And it's because we built this monster of all these different bowls. Can we finally just say the bowl system is done, except for going to a playoff? I will open it up to the floor.
I would say yes. I think bowls have become the NIT, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, we might
Love
still want to keep playing, but we don't have anything to play for. And we're seeing more and more teams no longer want to play in an NIT because there's nothing to play for, and we're seeing it with the bowl games too. So
Love that.
That's what it's become. And unfortunately, yeah, when there's a goal to get to the playoff and you don't get in there, for the most part, your players are going to opt out. I mean, these days now coaches are all leaving. Fans aren't going to want to travel. It used to be the fans loved to fly down to San Diego for 3 days in December, and now it's like, we've done that a few times.
I mean, are they hanging banners in your stadium for the Poinsettia Bowl that you won
No.
it in 2020? I mean, seriously, that's what we've come down to, though.
There's been too many bowls for many, many years now. And I agree with you. I think that there needs to be an expansion probably of the play. I know Josh Pate isn't into this, and there's guys that aren't into this, but and girls too, women. But I think that when it comes down to it, you're going to have complaints every single year until we do what the NCAA tournament does, and you basically have almost all the teams
but we
that
can't.
are legit.
But we
I'm not
have
saying you
to
put
have
64.
some limit. Yeah,
I'm not saying you put 64, but I'm saying you put 24. Whatever.
Why can't we model what we're doing with the FCS? Why can't we have 24
Well, I think
teams?
The argument
and have,
is money. I think
Well,
here's
it
I think
is.
this
No,
goes
but
to
we've
the-
talked about this
I know.
before. It's because they have these pockets of people, like down in Tempe, down in Orlando, down in Miami,
let me
that
tell you
they
why.
have these committees. Okay, go.
Okay, here's my thing. I think this is a greater issue of college football, which is there are so many things that we have thrown together in the system that we call college football now. It's like a Frankenstein's monster of a sport at this point, because you have all
Guillermo
these
de Tormo,
you have
or
all these things that are from different parts of the history of college football. Bowl games used to be important. The AP poll used to be important. Obviously, the conference championship games were important. The rankings obviously have been important.
and we had one game.
And the problem is that there hasn't been at any point in time a total reset and look at, hey, what is the modern college football? What do we need now? Instead of just keeping on adding and adding and adding. And what it's done is that all these systems don't really work together. And I think that's exactly what's happening with these bowl games. We have a bunch of bowl games because we just have a bunch of bowl games. There's no really reason for it besides they make money on it and everything like that.
We created a monster.
Exactly. We've created a Frankenstein's monster.
ESPN owns them all. But, yeah, no, I think that, bowl games used to be about two things. A, sending your fans somewhere warm for the new year that fans enjoyed, and coaches would talk about how important the extra practices were, 3 weeks of practice.
You really want to send your fans to El Paso?
From the number of it's a nice place. From the number of teams dropping out, I'm assuming coaches don't find that very important anymore. A, because half those players are not be coming back.
Right.
And like I say, I don't see fans anymore unless it's the Rose Bowl. Like I say, even if it's San Diego, I just don't think fans anymore are get that excited about it. So I think two of the things that was supposed to be have gone away. I don't mind more football games. If they want to play a game and put it on, that's fine with me. But the more and more we're seeing that, if teams don't want to be in it, then at some point we just got to say goodbye.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Baby J, is I think in the FCS, all the way up until the championship game, the higher seed gets to play a home playoff game.
Yeah, and then they go to Frisco for the championship game.
Right. So, to me, and I know at the top level, the NCAA, by the way, the Danny and Justin radio program, right over there is Goose. He's jumping in today. And your phone calls are welcome. If you want to hop in, I guess we need to pay attention to the phones as well. We do. At 541-343-5673, the Oregon Man Clinics hotline, live from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios in Eugene and Newport. This is the Danny and Justin radio program. I'll get to my point here, I don't know if the NCAA wants home sites because of the monstrosity that's been built on bowls, but it's worked for every other level except for the top level. So why can't we get to that and get to it pretty quickly?
Well, they're not going to like the home sites because they're not going to be happy that Oregon's going to have a 60,000 and could go to Allegiant Stadium and have 85 or whatever that is. They're going to, the FCS level, they're not filling out a Allegiant Stadium or a SoFi Stadium. So whatever they're drawing in Montana, which, by the way, I think Montana played Yale. What a great matchup that is in terms of two countries. But those games are great because they're not going. If they went to a neutral site, you're not going to have people from Montana and Fargo.
But do you disagree, though, in terms of the concept of having?
No, I think it's great. But the NCAA is going to look at it and say, "Hey, wait a minute. Oregon's got a home game and they can only get 60,000 people in there. We should have done this at the Rose Bowl where we could have gotten 100,000 people."
But is a full Autzen Stadium raucous with shout, with that atmosphere at night under the lights?
Great, but it's 40,000 less tickets sold.
Okay, but are you? Okay.
That's what they want, right?
No, they don't. They want the TV revenue. And what can you generate going to these sites and get that revenue? Because I know what you're talking about, but the ticket revenue is this much versus your advertising dollars, which is this much. And I'm great radio. I'm doing this whole expansive thing. So what I'm saying is that wouldn't you love to have a setting where you have the lights of Austin or the lights of Lubbock or wherever it is, a home site where there is an intrinsic crowd that is vociferous? What happened with Ohio State and Indiana at the Big Ten Championship this past weekend? I did not, unfortunately, get to watch the game. I did not watch 1 minute of it. So I know you guys probably did.
I did.
But that crowd was probably electric. I was there last year. I was fortunate to be there last year. It was electric. It was filled. But that is a conference championship game, which is another conversation, versus a home crowd. Can you tell me that if Oregon or Indiana or Penn State or fill in the blank has a home playoff game in the semifinals to go to the national championship game, that will not be lit up in terms of an audience for the TV?
You know that you should know this, both of you. Do you know when the Bears and the Packers play next?
2 weeks.
Yeah, do you know what day and what time?
It'll be
Saturday, December 20th at 5:20.
It's going to kill me.
The Oregon game and the game before, which is the reason that James Madison's and Tulane's games are not the Friday night
They
or the
looked at the
Saturday morning
NFL
window.
schedule.
They're going against the NFL. So
Look
this
at
is
this
where I'm
guy over
asking
here.
you,
Okay.
if you're saying they want TV ratings, why in the world are they playing 2 games on a Saturday afternoon when they're going up against the NFL? Doesn't make sense. So I don't think that TV can be that important to them. I think they're looking more for gates and filling it up. But your Packers and your Bears play at 5:20 on December 20th, and the Commanders and the Eagles play play before that. And so that's why the 2 marquee games, which is the 2 not including a group of 5, are Friday night, Saturday morning, and Tulane and James Madison, their opponents, are going in the other 2. They will not be great ratings for those games, A, because of the fact who they're playing, and B, who they're going up against.
So it wouldn't be better ratings no matter where it's at. But how much ticket sales are you going to get off of it, though?
Like $300 a ticket, aren't they? Didn't I hear? Somebody told me they're like $300 a ticket.
I don't know.
Here in Austin?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm saying. But
I looked.
now you could do that, and I think they would prefer. They want those semifinals and finals and quarterfinals to be at the Rose Bowl and the 100,000 seat places because they don't want to be limited to 60,000.
All right, we're going to dive into the Oregon James Madison matchup from a high level. I want to talk Oregon men's and women's basketball. They had a rough trip down to L.A. And I'm not disagreeing with you, but I just think
That's fine. You can disagree.
Well, I mean, I can, but I just like the NCAA. This is the hard crossover for them. This is what I think we need to solve. But I think it's more for the fans rather than the TV ratings, although that's where the money is generated. The Danny and Justin radio program rolls on here, live from the Bigfoot Beverages Studios, Fox Sports Eugene and Newport. The Danny and Justin radio program here for a Monday. Thanks for tuning in, friends, wherever and however. It's Danny. It's Baby J. It's Goose. I am the only one that is not called by his nickname.
Doc Danny.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Goose with the save. Let's head on over to the Oregon Man Collects hotline at 541-343-5673. And by the way, friends, if you want to tune in, we don't do open phones a lot, but if you want to hop in, we are more than happy to have you on the program at 541-343. Say it together, kids. 5673. You did not participate, Goose.
I don't see it anywhere in
Okay, all right.
We
There we
gotta
go.
get the
Let's
paper
head on
out.
over. Let's welcome in one of our P1s, Brad, who wants to talk about ticket prices for the game against JMU on a Saturday at 4:30. Brad, welcome in.
Thank you very much. I was just calling to let you know that I got as a season ticket holder, they gave us first crack, and
Yep.
I got my seats for $177 per. And they're not the best seats; they're kind of in the corner, but they're not, it's definitely. I don't feel like I'm being gouged at all.
So let me ask you this, though, first of all. So you got in because, Brad, I just want to ask you without saying too much. Are you a season ticket holder?
I am, yes.
Okay, so you got your opportunity. So the University of Oregon gave all season ticket holders the first crack to say you want your seats, you can get your seats, and they're going to do it at fair market value. I'm actually looking online right now for the seats and I'm a donor, so I'm not a season ticket holder because I can get to the games without, sitting. I'm not going to get into all that. But the ticket prices right now are pretty outrageous. So, I mean, for a JMU matchup, I know there's a lot of excitement about this game. Do you have any concerns that Autzen Stadium's going to be full for this matchup against JMU?
I don't. It's going to be interesting. I just had this conversation with a friend of mine who's also a season ticket holder, and he's looking to sell his. I wonder what the demand's really going to turn out to be, December, January, December weekend. It could totally be really bad weather. We'll see. But I do think that the stadium will be full.
Brad, if
I'm
those
looking
tickets
forward to it.
if those tickets get up to 500, will you be tempted to sell them off
Great
and
question.
make a little profit?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't do that. And, I could have done that with my Ohio State seats last year. Multiple games this year could have sold them and probably paid back the entire season. But it's worth more to me to be there for sure.
So Brad, who's on the phone with us at 541-343-5673, the Oregon Man Clinics hotline, the Danny and Justin radio program here with Baby J, with Goose and Doc on a Monday. So Brad, do you like the matchup? Do you like the playoff the way it's set up? Do you like the matchup that Oregon gets as a 5-12? Do you like their path?
Well, after last year, I'm fine with it. I mean, honestly, I think that I don't know. It's really hard to say who quote unquote deserves and who doesn't. I do think that if anyone should have gotten left out, it should have been Alabama over Notre Dame. But I can't really say. I think the Ducks have a good path, and I hope we capitalize on it.
Would you rather, as a fan, I told you Notre Dame's coming here if we threw out the automatic bids, Notre Dame's coming here for a marquee matchup, or as a fan, do you rather have James Madison and a clearer path?
Oh, no, I would much rather. I would love to see Notre Dame in person. I would love to see them play at Autzen. Was actually licking my chops when that was looking possible a little bit earlier. I really don't know much about James Madison football. It's going to be interesting to see, what happens. And I don't want the Ducks to take anyone lightly. And I don't think a Dan Lanning coach team will, but it always makes me nervous when it's a game that they say that you've already won on paper.
Right.
Sometimes sometimes that happens in the player's mind, and turns out to not be the case. So.
Does that damper the excitement at all? I mean, it's a college football playoff game.
It's going to be
against
at
a
night.
Team that you basically
it's
expect.
It's going to be at night. It's going to be
a 21-point spread, right? So does that damper the excitement at all, or is it just, hey, you're getting to play a playoff game here?
I enjoy them all, man. Each game is exciting. I'm excited to be at a playoff game. That's for sure.
I think
a playoff game in Autzen is going to be really fun.
I mean, it's unique. It's historic. You can hold on to that ticket, although it's a digital ticket. I mean, do we have paper tickets anymore?
Depending on the place, you can go to the ticket office and get a stub.
I think that would be awesome to hold on to that and say, because this is history.
Right.
It is the first college football playoff game at Autzen Stadium. It'll be under the lights against James Madison. Let's take the opponent out of the picture. It's going to be historic and epic. And you're going to be there.
I'm not. I'm going to be on vacation. But second postseason game ever at Autzen Stadium. Do you know what the first one was?
I was there.
Okay, Brad, tell us.
It was the I believe it was Pac-10 championship game against UCLA.
Correct. Right after Neuheisel had been fired and they had an interim coach.
Yep.
See, you're not going to trick Brad. That's all there should.
Well, and it was weird seeing the stadium all decked out and all the Pac-12 stuff.
That's right.
Instead of all of the normal advertisers and everything else. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like.
All right, Brad, thanks. You didn't win this week, but thanks, bud. And thanks for all of your support of the program. We really appreciate you, bud.
My pleasure. Glad you guys are doing it. Take care.
All right, there he goes. One of our P1s that opens up the phone line at 541-343-5673, the Oregon Man Clinics hotline. The Danny and Justin radio program, we've got Goose here as a sidekick. He's a sidecar. He's riding in the sidecar. Justin's driving it. I'm on the back of Justin. If you can just picture this, the motorcycle in the sidecar. Goose is in the sidecar with the goggles on as we traverse down the road here from the Bigfoot Beverages studio on a Monday. So let's talk about this matchup. JMU and Oregon. It's already a 3-score. I mean, by far, it's a 5-12 matchup, which in college basketball would be the scary one. It would not necessarily be the scary one here. I mean, I don't think Dan Lanning's team is going to take this lightly. I think they're going to use this as prep. I think they learned a lot about last year. And that was the one thing. I was not as scared about Oregon getting a bye and going into it because I think Dan Lanning has figured it out. So we're going to head right back over to the phone, and Coach Mark is on. I know he wants to give us his opinion down there. Another P1 from the desert of Arizona. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, so a couple of things. I want to fix the college football playoff, and I also have a big announcement. So which would you like first?
What do you guys think? Big announcement first? No, okay. Let's go big announcement first.
The big announcement is I will be flying up for this game. I don't care if it's JMU or the Sisters of the Poor. I want to be up.
Why? Because it's
Austin
historic?
Stadium,
Yeah.
First playoff game ever. I'm excited about it, and it means a lot to me that they get to host this game. We want to be there. Let's support them.
Okay. All right. Love that. All right. So big announcement out of the way. You're going to be up here. So we're give you off the plane. We're going to give you lays or something like that. We're going to do the flower thing as you walk off the plane. All right. Well, I'm not sure that's going to happen if I get through security, but go ahead.
I'm glad you're excited. I don't know if I buy it, but I appreciate that. So fixing the college football playoff, just get rid of the conference championship auto bids and rank the teams. If a team wins their conference championship, they should be pushed up. If a team loses the conference championship, they should be pushed down. You get rid of this G5 nonsense, and you get the 12 best teams in to compete in a playoff against each other, just the way it should be.
All right, Mark. I love
That's
that.
what I said Friday.
All right, so we're going to discuss. Thanks for the call, buddy. Love you. We'll see you this weekend or next weekend. Yeah, take care. So go ahead, baby.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying. I think that my only amendment to that is that you basically do make it about the conferences. You can still have, like, the ACC gets their highest ranked team in, for instance, and that would be Miami that get the at-large bid. Mm-hmm. But then you would still be able to put in, like, that would take away, in this case, JMU, essentially.
So
then you'd have the ability to put in Notre Dame.
Are we all in agreement that Alabama should not be in this tournament?
No.
We're not? Okay, go ahead. You think they should be?
They beat Georgia, beat Vanderbilt, beat Tennessee. They beat 4 top 25 teams, right?
Is Tennessee top 25?
No,
they were when
they're
played
not.
them.
They were. Oh! Are we going to use that argument? Are we going to pull that one out? Because then I would.
I don't have a problem with them being in. I'm just saying.
say-
I'm okay. I mean,
You're okay with it?
You can't penalize them.
That was honestly one of the biggest hot spots. Was that Alabama did not drop one slot after losing.
I don't like what
to
happened
Georgia.
To Notre Dame,
Okay,
but I don't like you don't drop it. I don't think that playing a week when you got awarded to play in
I know
and no
Baby
other
J
teams
wants some
have
time
to
in here.
is I don't think you penalize the team for that because they didn't. I mean, then you just say why are we playing a conference championship game? For me, it freezes after the other part of it there.
Well, what I don't like about it, though, is it's not consistent. It's only the case that you just said because it's the SEC. If that was the case, so why does Ohio State?
No, you said.
Let me finish. Why does Ohio State move behind Indiana if the championship games don't count?
Yeah, I mean,
why does
that's
BYU?
the head-to-head. I don't think BYU should have moved down.
That's what I'm saying. Why
I'm
does
saying
BYU
Indiana
move down?
and Ohio State can move because they both played, so you're basing it on that game. I wouldn't.
I get what you're saying,
and then I don't like the fact that BYU fell. Who moved ahead of Miami? Moved ahead of them on a week when Miami wasn't picked to play in a game and BYU had to.
Let me put it this way
we should pretty soon have teams opting out of conference championship games as opposed to bowl games.
So here's the thing. Although, with what you said, and so the resume, okay, I get that with Alabama. However, if I just put the optics on it, if it was Oregon playing Indiana, and Oregon was a 2-loss team, and they lost 28-7 to Indiana in the Big Ten championship game as a number 9 seed, do you really think we'd be talking about Oregon in the college football playoff? The answer is no. They would not be.
Well,
they would.
I kind of agree with that. I think that really it's because it's Alabama.
It is the
because
mechanism.
It's the SEC.
It is the mechanism that is the
got
SEC and
embarrassed.
ESPN.
Let's be honest. They had -3 rushing yards in that game.
And if we want to talk about what everyone likes to talk about in that committee is the eye test.
Right. Oh, they failed the eye test.
Absolutely.
Well, and I just want to say, too, because this was the big talking point for us last week after the games, which was Texas wasn't even close to being considered. I'm sorry. The whole thing was blowing smoke. There was, if you looked at the end of it,
but they were in the narrative. They were in the graphic.
It just goes to show, because we talked about it all week about, well, maybe Texas, and there were so many people that were like banging on the table about, well, Texas beat this team and they beat this team. It wasn't even close. They weren't even being considered for it, ultimately.
No, because they had 3 losses. Nobody with 3 losses, but again,
except for Alabama.
But because that loss came in a 13th game that your Oregon Ducks didn't have to play. If
No,
Oregon played in that game,
your Oregon Ducks.
If Oregon plays in a Big Ten title game, should they have dropped down? No, you don't drop a team for that. But you can't penalize Alabama for losing a game to the number 3 team in the country. That was a game that no other of the teams in the playoff had to play.
So the only thing I will give in the defense of this mechanism that is the College Football Championship Committee is that they only dropped Ohio State down to number 3.
2.
Well, pardon me, 2. Okay. Really? I thought they should be 3. Sorry.
I also thought they should be 3. But
I thought they should be, but they did not drop them out of a bye, and that was again, unfortunately, I didn't see it, but I heard. Believe I had friends that were at the game and were texting me and tweeting me and such. So that was a great conference championship game, which is unfortunately the exception rather than the rule. So I know you're raising your hand again.
I guess
like we're
I
in
want
school.
Steve's response to this. Goose's response.
All right.
So my thing about the Alabama in the title game thing, I would agree with you to a point. I also think so. I have 2 questions. First of all, so 28-7 wasn't enough to basically sit there for you at least and go
late score.
Well,
21-7. Alabama had to go for it. Could have punted and kept it 21-7, but went for it. Turned it over at the 10.
My other thing about it is that yes, Alabama was in the game. They also probably shouldn't, if we had the rules right, be in that game. There were 2 teams in the SEC that had lower losses than them, but by the tiebreakers and the SEC stuff, obviously they got put in the game. And I think that the issue there is right now with college football is that there isn't a congruency with who gets in the championship games and who is really being ranked in the college football playoff because of the out-of-conference losses, and then they only count the in-conference losses in these championship games, right? They're saying, well, you were, I don't know what their actual conference record was. It was probably like 9-1 or whatever it was.
These two are staring at each other, by the way. Which was the same
as Ole Miss and as Texas A&M, but they get put in the game, right, because of their tiebreakers.
They get put in the game because these conferences are too big.
Exactly.
Because they have 18-team conference, and you can't do any sort of
we're talking about something totally different then.
I think it's all connected
beyond this.
I mean, that's why Duke with 5 losses was in it, because there was some bizarre
But that
tiebreaker.
never should have happened.
But it does, though, yeah.
I know, but that's what you and I talked about this earlier today. I think it's just like there is a overreaching. By the way, the Danny and Justin radio program. Thanks for tuning in. We've got to get one more break in.
All right.
Okay. So we'll do that. And the Oregon Man Clinics hotline is open for you at 541-343-5673. If you want to hop in and join this discussion, I'd like to get to basketball, but I don't think we're going to, because this is exactly what I thought this show should be and would be here on a Monday as we're talking about the college football playoff. The bigger thing is that what is broken leading up to and including the college football playoff and how we're going to fix it. I think we do have some solves? Solves? Come on, you're the words.
Solutions?
Solutions. All right, I like that better. Goose, Baby J, Doc, thanks for tuning in on Fox Sports. The Goose is loose in the studio, and remember that you can pod us on wherever you podcast. Amazon, Apple, Podverse, Odyssey, iHeart. The program will be up, and you're going to want to listen to our conversation that we've been having about the college football playoff here on the Danny and Justin radio program, live for the Bigfoot Beverages Studios on Fox Sports Eugene and Newport. I'm Danny. Right over there is Justin. Right over there is Steve, our proper Christian names. As we head into our last segment here, we're not going to get to Oregon men's and women's basketball. I apologize for that, folks. By the way, Coquel Casino sponsors our Bigger Bets, our Big Bets segment. Chris from Junction City, you're going to get some notification because you won a 2-night stay with $100 on your player's card because you went 4-1 this weekend.
Has Coach won before?
Coach has won.
So maybe he just announced that he was coming out here for the game. Maybe he'll go stay at Coquel Suites. He'll fly in on Thursday
snuggle.
and
he'll do a little spooning.
Go get his 2-day Coquel over there before the Duck game.
You're throwing that out there for Coach Mark.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine. I went 3-2. Both of you two went 2-3, as well as Coquel. So we were all, except for you, Goose. You were in on Tulane.
Yeah, not many others though.
And so was Chris, by the way. But you also jumped in on the Dan Mullen train.
Yeah.
UNLV. That was your downfall, by the way.
I didn't think that blue turf was as scary as it turned out to be.
So what was interesting to me as well is that the tiebreaker was the Indiana-Ohio State game. The lowest point total, not surprising, was you.
Yeah,
Goose.
and I hit it.
You've been going, you would have. 35 points. Everyone else was in the 50s and the 40s.
I know.
It's a low-scoring game
I
between those two.
Could have been.
Were you surprised by that?
I shouldn't have been. I mean, two great defensive teams. Ohio State might have the best defense in the country. Obviously, Indiana's was a little bit better on Saturday. But I ultimately, looking back, Steve was in the right there.
So let's talk about conference championship games, because this has been one of the biggest debates with the college football playoff advent and expanding, is that are we diluting the conference championship game and how it affects? Now, in the SEC, it obviously helped, apparently, with the quote-unquote, I'm doing air quotes here in the studio, eye test for Alabama. But, Goose, you have a proposal. I'm going to let you lay it out so we can bash it for the next 8 minutes.
He's proposed this on the show before.
He has, but but there are other listeners that
Yes.
come into the program on Fox Sports Eugene and Newport, and thanks for tuning in live from the Bigfoot Beverages studio. So talk about what you want to see in the last weekend after the regular season's done. Go.
I want everybody to play championship week. 1 versus 2, 3 versus 4, 5 versus 6, 7 versus 8. Unfortunately, with these bloated
Wrong.
leagues, we get down to 17 versus 18 now. We could have had Purdue, Maryland in a 17-18 game last week, which would have been great. But no, my point is that now everybody has 13 data points instead of some having 13, some having 12. We'd have had Oregon, Michigan last week. That would have been pretty cool. We didn't get to see that this year. We'd have had USC and Iowa. So we'd have had a lot of good games, and then all these teams get another data point, and no longer are we saying, hey, if Alabama loses, but hey, you can't punish them when they had to play a week that nobody else did.
All right, Baby J,
No,
go.
I completely agree. I think it's a good idea. So my question
Can
would
we
be,
cut it off, though?
what does
No.
Notre Dame do? What
Play
does Notre
on.
Dame do?
Home site, huh?
What does Notre Dame do?
Same thing they did. Join a conference or stay
exactly.
home.
Okay. I agree.
So now you're advocating for the independents, and they're
They could play UMass. They could play UMass. There's 2 independents, right? UMass isn't independent. They play UMass every year in a
exhausting
rivalry
me.
game on
This is
championship weekend.
I need to be I'm trying to be a better traffic cop, by the way, just so you know. Go ahead, Baby
All right.
J.
If we're gonna do pros and cons,
UConn's the other one. Notre Dame. That would have been a
There
good
you go,
game this
there
year.
you go.
Notre
You're
Dame,
literally
UConn
looking
every year.
at your phone right now and
there
pulling
you go.
this up.
Yes.
Okay, go.
I think the pros of the conference championship games. I think we saw one of them on Saturday with Indiana. Think about Indiana.
But it's
and
a
how,
crapshoot,
No,
though.
but here, listen to me.
Okay,
How big
I'm
of a
listening.
deal was that for Indiana? I mean, their
was
fans, no matter
seismic.
what happens the rest of the season,
Yeah.
it's a huge deal. The problem is, for a team like Ohio State, it means almost nothing. Yes, they haven't won since, what was it, 2020, I think, 2019. It's been 5 years. But for a team like that, it just doesn't really mean much. It doesn't. But for a team like Indiana, it's awesome. That being said, it doesn't work at all at the playoff. Because you have things like this with Notre Dame, with Alabama. There's incongruency. We don't have any sort of balance in terms of the way we compare these teams, and I think that's an issue with it.
Here's your soundbite. The conference championship is a rest stop to getting to the national championship. That's what it is. For the winning team, you will have an opportunity to, quote unquote, and we still don't know. I think this year is going to be very interesting as a litmus test to find out if a bye is going to be actually advantageous to somebody. Because last year was the 1 year sample size.
We discussed
right?
this Friday, though, that those were flawed buys. We had 2 teams. Basically, this year, the 3
what
and the 4
happens-
would have been like Boise State
Okay.
and Arizona State last year had a bye. That would have been like if Tulane and James Madison had buys this week because they would have conference champ and then they lost after a bye. We're doing, oh my gosh.
So what happens if all of the teams that got buys lose again?
Then
they
you got a
won't.
sample size,
They're
but
not
it's not
gonna-
happening. It's not
What
gonna
do you mean?
happen.
What
I think-
what do you
I
mean
think-
if they don't?
I would agree- I would agree with them. I would agree- I think that-
I'm going to buy lottery tickets if you tell me you already know that.
Well, not all of them. I wouldn't say individually.
So
none of them are
if
going to lose.
3
but I
out of
don't
the
think,
4 lose, aren't we going to be soft on how
Well, it depends on the matchups.
advantageous
Depends on the
is it?
matchups.
Yeah,
Because
let's
last year
wait
it
and
was
see.
like Oregon lost to Ohio State, who was the national champion.
Should have
You're
been the
missing my
6th seed, but
point.
was the 8th
Right,
in
seed.
the whole thing.
exactly. I think that there are some legitimate reasons why, and that was the problem, is that they just messed up the bracket.
Yes, it was a
To
bad
me-
bracket last year. 1 year, small sample size.
To me, right, but that's why I asked the question.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen, but if it is, I'll come back in here on January 2nd and we'll discuss it.
My
So
thing with the championship games is that it really worked when you had a 4-team playoff because you ultimately had all these conferences were still kind of together as well. And so you would basically choose between the 2 teams that made it to the conference championship game, and one of them would probably get in unless it was the SEC, and then they put 2 of them in. But it doesn't work with the 12-team playoff because there's just we saw it last year that the buys and all that didn't work with the automatic bids and putting them in the top 4. And then it hasn't worked this year because they tried to have it so one of the group of 5 teams would be in, and then it ended up that both of the group of 5 or 2 of the group of 5 teams would go in. So I think it doesn't work with the 4-team or with the 12-team.
Well, so what I will find interesting is how the games are attended at the school sites this year because it's an entirely different mix than there was last year. I will still advocate for all the way up till the semifinal games, or including the semifinal games, that they should. And I know, Goose, I know you're going to disagree with me. That's fine.
I don't disagree. I'm saying the NC2A. I'm telling you why the NC2A wouldn't.
Okay,
do that.
I understand. I think they need to be at home sites. The higher seed, there's a reason why you should be able to attain a higher seed. I mean, think about last year. I'll just throw this out. If Oregon gets to play Ohio State again at Autzen Stadium on January 1st, do you think the outcome is the same? We got one more quick call. Okay.
We got Chris on hold.
Chris on hold. Chris from. By the way, congratulations if this is the same Chris. By the way.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. All right, I'm gonna give you your shot here on the playoff. Go.
Okay. So I think the way they should handle these 18-team conferences with the conference championship, do a 4-team tournament, 4 versus 1, 2 versus 3. Maybe that 3 or 4 team is on the fringe of making the playoffs, and that gives them that extra resume game, and then we can clean up some of these weird tiebreakers that we have for the 2 that make it as we have it right now.
So you're saying you're going to play an extra week then with team? Yeah,
only the top 4 teams in the conference.
So I just don't know how that's going to work with you're going to have to lose another non-con game then because you can't play 14 weeks of football. You just can't do it. So I just don't see how that would.
Losing a non-con game isn't that bad because they don't care about them anyways in the conference championship games.
I mean, but that's where a lot of, especially smaller teams, and Chris, we appreciate that thought. And by the way, congratulations. Somebody will be in touch with you as you're going to go down the Cocoa. By the way, apparently Coach Mark will snuggle with you if you want to go down.
Yeah, I heard that. We'll see about that.
Chris, we're getting a beer at the Viking one of these days. I'm telling you, we're going to make it happen.
All right, let's do it.
All right, there you go. So he's got a date at the Viking, and he might have a date down at Coquel. You never know. So I mean, I to complete that thought, I don't know. I mean, the not lesser teams, but the teams in the FCS. That's a payday for them. That's a $500,000 check that helps basically keep their program afloat. And by the way, when we were talking about early in the program, these teams that opted out, there's a reason. I've talked about this before because I've been involved in the programs. Most of these schools, and people don't understand, going to bowl games is a money loser for most of the college football programs that go. You go to the Pinstripe Bowl, you're paying more because you have to secure all your tickets, you have to pay for the team, everything else. It is a loser. The check you get from the Pinstripe Bowl does not, and then you got to send out all the revenue to all the other teams in your conference. You lose money when you go to these bowl games. So I'm not surprised by these teams opting out. Go.
But you saw that the Big 12 fined Iowa State and Kansas State. So
$500,000.
You can't tell me that they weren't going to lose more than that by playing in the game. So if money was the factor, I don't think that's the case because they got fined. I'm sure Big 12
that was
fined them.
That's a bad look, by the way.
I'm sure the conference fined them an amount that they thought was about equal to what they should have gotten.
Have you ever heard about that before? As a conference fining somebody to say you're opting out of a bowl?
No, but I get it because you're supposed to be bringing in revenue for the rest of the conference.
Yeah, it's just a bad look. It's a bad look.
Notre Dame's finding itself.
Yes, they are. All right, let's do it.
A joke!
I got fired from the bank today. A woman asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her.
Dad jokes!
Boys, tough day at the Havel household.
Uh-oh.
Can't find my Gone in 60 Seconds DVD. I mean, it was here a minute ago.
There you go. I feel like there's some sort of Alfred Hitchcock joke here.
The Birds?
Strangers on a Train.
Oh, very nice. Strangers on a Train. I like that. Well, you're a like a cineophile.
My mom did Hitchcock for a while, so that's why.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right.
Yeah.
So what do you got tomorrow on the program, Justin? Do you have a great lineup for us for the rest of the week? Mr.
We got us. Every day, 2 to 3.
This was fun, boys.
That was fun. Sounds like me and you might be doing some shows next week. We're going to kick Justin out for a little bit.
Yeah.
He will be in the Windy City shoveling snow off of his grandma's porch.
Probably.
And sidewalk, making sure that she's taken care of. Good show, boys.
And yelling at the clouds anti-SEC chants.
Thanks for tuning in, friends. We'll do it again tomorrow in 23 hours For Goose, for Baby J, I'm Doc. Thanks for tuning in. God bless, be well, put a smile on your face. Someone else's, they deserve it, so do you.